Can you see me? I may have to turn on some light. It's like all of a sudden it got real dark in this part of the house. And I'm just going to say good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope everyone's well. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I did. I felt a little challenged on a couple of things that I was doing that involved, um, losing a friend and, trying to help the family out with that and just coming up with some things for today and this week. So it's going to be a real busy week for me. But nonetheless, my things have been given to me. And today we're going to talk about idle. Okay, IDLE, not IDOL. Okay, we're going to talk about just the fact that sometimes we are idle. We don't have anything to do, or we have things to do. We choose not to do them, so we become idle. And the reason I thought this was so appropriate is because during this pandemic, let's face it, there's a lot of people who, because they don't have their regular go to involved with being, running and running and running, they find themselves even more idle and more kind of what I would say lost in time. I was reading, I guess I told some of you, and good morning, Maurice. I told some of you that I had taken on a new job, and I've been going through the training, and some of the training was speaking to things such as procrastination, time, things that, and they call them like things that steal away your time so easily. And we don't even realize that our time is being stolen because we're involved in the discussions, we're involved in the activities, but yet and still, good morning, Christine. We don't even realize that our time just gets away from us before we know it. Time can't be stopped. And so when they say time management is what the article I was reading yesterday said, time management, there's no such thing as time management. It's really self-management. What do we do? What are we doing for ourselves? What are we doing to make our time worthwhile? Make it where we're doing something with our time. And a lot of times, let's face it, we don't. We end up being really messed up. Good morning, Joan. We get really messed up in the fact that we just find it troublesome to put, what I would say, brakes on some things, such as, and they said time chewers, or such as when people come to visit, or they call you on the phone, or you're on social media and all those things. And I know I might be part of your wasting of your time right now, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping this is going to get you to where you have some discussion for yourself. And discussion doesn't always have to be with someone else. Sometimes you yourself say, I can do better than that. I may have to write it down and get it right because this isn't quite what I should be doing. So I'm going to ask you the question this morning. Are you stuck? Yes, we are stuck. Some of us are stuck just in pandemic. Some of us were stuck before pandemic came. Some of us could never get anything done on time. We were always late. We were always, what I would say, out of sync of what was going on. And so we're just going to talk about idle. Are we idle? And I have to go like I do usually find a poem. And this morning I found one by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And it says, and there's no title, but I like it because it just asks some things without question marks, but it's still asking questions. It says, for what it's worth, it's never too late, or in my case, too early to be whoever you want to be. There's no time limit. Stop whenever you want. You can change or stay the same. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best of or worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. And I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you never felt before. I hope you meet people with a different point of view. I hope you live a life you're proud of. If you find that you're not, I hope you have the strength to start all over again. I like that poem. Generally when I'm going through and I'm looking for poems on Pinterest or whatever, I'm going to look for what kind of excites me to be on point for whatever I'm going to discuss. But I like the fact that even Scott Fitzgerald is saying, look, if it's not working for you today, do something else. Okay? If you went left and you should have gone right, now you can still stop going left and turn and go right. If you want to go up instead of down, same thing. Okay? So it says that this is your story. This is your way of doing things, and you can always change it. What didn't work for you before may work for you now. It may work for you. So in discussing idle, and I remember, when we first started with this pandemic, this limited socializing and limited access to being around things and going out and about and not knowing where the virus was coming from, we had a sense of needing to be still, needing to be idle. But if you go out, like I went out on Saturday to the market, and I'm telling you, folks are out there. It's not as if they're afraid. So the same things that they're trying to do, you're trying to do. Okay, you need to go buy groceries. You need to get gas. You need to, still kind of live within this new strangeness that we have, but we're making do. But there were a lot of people around, that were doing the same thing I was doing on Saturday. And so I just questioned, are we idle? We're probably idle in some things and not that idle in others. So, and looking at this, let me put on my glasses. It says idle. It says spend time doing nothing. How many of you spend time doing absolutely nothing? Nothing. Some of us do. The TV becomes our best friend. Plain and simple. We just love that the TV works for us. Or we end up listening to music and we still do nothing, or we sit all day long. We just don't put any legs to being in the house or changing what we used to do to something else. It says we spend time doing nothing, being idle, running slowly while disconnected from the loud of the out of gear. We vegetate. We rest on one's oars. It says we twindle. We sit back. We mark time. I don't want to mark time. Have changed, but I'm hoping that with this time I'm going to use it wisely. I'm hoping that I will. Okay. It says we thumb our fingers up at stuff. It says we lollygag, we fritter, we loiter, we pass, we spend, we hang out about, we waste time, we kill time, we mark time, we languish. All those things speaking to what idle does to us. So for some of us, idle becomes just basically nothing, period. We do absolutely nothing. And the only thing about not doing anything is wondering where the time went once it's back to I need to do more. You sometimes we don't even know what we do with our time. It goes so fast. Time never stops, even though we do. I'll say that again. Time never stops. So even if yesterday you did nothing, now you're in today. You look back into yesterday, you say, well, I should have done that yesterday because it was due today. Once again, time never stops. We do. So when we look at the I of idle, I talk about inert, lacking the ability or strength to move, lacking vigor, meaning nothing. Nothing's going on. It says, and we lack vigor and we lack ability and strength to move. It says unmoving, motionless, immobile, still, stock still. It says we can be stationary. We can be static, dormant, sleeping, unconscious, lifeless, sluggish, excuse me, sluggish and stagnant. And I always remember the word stagnant surrounding water. My mother always used to say, that water's stagnant. Get that water up from there. And so I always look at being, stagnant, being stale, being making something happen with the fact that nothing's going on. Something is still happening, meaning a lot's not getting done, or, say the person that chooses not to bathe, chooses not to do anything for personal care, they eventually will smell, or the person that leaves the food out for 4 or 5 days, eventually it's going to rot. And so we have to look at what idle can do. Idle can make something extremely bad. It can make it where we don't want it anymore and we don't need it. The D of idle is dormant. And you know what? They always talk about dormancy coming about from just lack of normal physical activity. How many of you have stopped going to the gym? Well, I have. Okay, don't go to gym anymore. I will eventually go back to the gym, and maybe eventually, if I see that this is going to go on much longer, I will probably consider, doing virtual exercise with my trainer. So sometimes you just realize that the move is you have to make the decision on making a move, and then the move has other moves in it. So you make the initial move is to say, yes, I'm going to change something, and then after that, other movement can come about, and that's what happens. So to be dormant really looks like it's supposed to be temporary inactiveness, because they said it does come back. But it also could be a period of our sleep, of our slumbering, of our resting. It says our reposing, our drowsing, our comatose, because they said, even though sleep isn't comatose, but, some people do go when they're sick, they may be comatose. It's our passive, and it's our inoperative. So all those speak to the fact that when we go down, sometimes we're very down. We do absolutely nothing. For our sleep, obviously, for our rest, for our sickness, all those things talk about periods of time it's going by. The time is leaving, but we're still in a position of non-productiveness, non-involvement, inoperativeness, dormancy. That's all speaks to what happens. How many of you had periods of this, even though your life is slowed because of the COVID virus? Have you also slowed inside the house? Meaning, because I'm quite sure all of us can look around and find something to do in our houses, but have you slowed with that as well? Because I think that the pandemic has also brought for some people what I would call, mental unacuity. They just don't have it together anymore. They just have kind of lackluster. I move more now online yoga, virtual Zumba toning. Rest is good, but my hips need to keep moving or they mess up. I know that's right. Sometimes if you lay in the bed too long, you get your body aches, You sit too long, what happens? Your knees lock, You don't raise up your arms enough. Eventually you're having trouble raising your arms. You have to put some movement to the body. The body can't continue to live and you live in it well if you are immobile, if you're idle all the time. You have to do something. Walking to the mailbox, getting up and getting some fresh air and walking to the corner and back. That would be good. That would be exercise, and that would get you away from being idle. The L of idle is for being lethargic. And lethargic is a state of weariness that involves, diminished energy, mental capacity, and motivation. Now, I'm quite sure all of us, when this first started, we went through a period of lethargy. It's like, man, I don't know what to do. What's going on? Every life has changed so much because the impact, the suddenness of the virus and the suddenness of us, responding to what it was we were required to do, which was stay home, became a problem, for many of us. It's like, man, I have this to do and that to do and people to see and, projects to complete. That's how we looked at life. But it slowed to the point where we were housebound, or some of us were, except for the essential workers. And then we were looking at ourselves differently, of our value, our worth, our drive, because many of us have lost our drive, So lethargy really speaks to being sluggish, being apathetic and slow and listless, is shiftless. I remember my mom always saying she had a few kids that were shiftless, passive, tired, and fatigued. We spoke about tired. Last week. So sometimes we do get tired, and it's understandable that we get tired. But to get lethargic, to me, that's almost tired plus. Tired plus is meaning that if you have to get a distinction of between the two, I would say that being lethargic means that I have no energy for a while. It's going to be a while before I can get back up and move around. Whereas being tired may be temporary with sleep. But sometimes, to me, this is just mine, the state of weariness may be long lasting. It may be long lasting. And the E of idle is for energy. And, energy is the strength and vitality required for us to sustain our physical and mental activity. And so when we speak of being, having energy, having no energy, we're really talking about our range of, I would say body fluidity, moving, feeling strong enough to prepare a meal and maybe dance, while nobody's watching you, something, you're doing something. How many of you have picked up being more energetic since you're home? I know Jean just answered that she has done something. Have anyone else done anything that says, I got more going on now because I'm paying attention to it. I'm realizing the importance of me moving because my big movements have changed. Good morning, Janice. My big movements have changed, so I have to still do something in my house. Something. I dance a little bit up in here. I put on the music on Pandora and dance. But it says you can talk about the energy is your zeal, your enthusiasm, your vibrancy, your spark, your sparkle, your effervescence. It says it's your exuberance, it's your strength, it's your potency, it's your drive, your push, your zip, your zing, and your go. So to me, to have energy really speaks to the fact that I can knock out all those other things. I can knock out being lethargic. I can knock out being dormant. I can knock out being inert. I can knock out being idle if I find and speak to and play with the energy that I have. Even though there's only myself here, I will make dinner as if there's just a whole bunch of people coming in. No. But I want to make sure that I'll cook today and I won't have to cook tomorrow and the next day because whatever I make, I can try to eat off of it for 3 days. But for me, that's how I look at my energy, making my energy work for me, making it where when I lay down at night, I'm truly going to rest because I exerted myself enough to know the importance of what not being idle does for me than being idle. I don't want to be idle. Good morning, T. I think for me, I told somebody this recently that in the end that I will when I leave up out of here, they said that thing worked herself to death before she left here. No, I didn't work myself to death. I worked myself to death. Not 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 dead. I worked myself until I died, is what I hope that they will say. Let's see, Marie says, my work routine has changed and I'm homeschooling my daughter. Okay. And then you're still having time to be creative on Sunday for our pandemic usher. I love it, love it, love it. Yesterday was too much. So you're finding other ways to utilize your time. One is you become teacher, which is good. And the other thing is you're still a parent, you're still a husband, you're still owner of a house. So there's still things to do in your time. So you're not idle. You're not idle. Okay? And Jones said, sometimes your thoughts dictate your behavior. Absolutely. Absolutely, your thoughts dictate your behavior. Sometimes that's the only way we think that we can get anything done, is if our thoughts tell us to do it. Now, some people, they pay no attention to thoughts. They don't even think about it. They let it go right out the window. It's just not an issue for them. It's not an issue. For me, if I feel that I've sat too long, I've been trying to, and I'm not good at it yet, but I've been trying to, leaving the TV on just enough where I can hear it. Because, the commercials, the commercials are absolutely crazy. You can have your TV on barely audible, but with the commercials come on, you're going to hear it, because they feel you got up from where you were. And so they want that ad to follow you wherever you are in your house. So when I hear the commercials, I've been trying to get up and move during the commercials, because the commercials are longer than the segments on the TV. Whatever you're watching, pay attention. Very seldom, unless you're looking at, maybe MeTV, some of them don't have many commercials. But I'm telling you, the average commercialized station has big time commercials all day long. And so I'll call him back in a minute. So we end up just realizing that so much of our time may be spent with us not paying attention to movement, movement, movement. But the TV may help you. The TV may help you in that every time you see a commercial, you get up and walk, and you cannot sit back down until the commercial is off. It works. It does work, and sometimes I'm so busy, or I'm trying to get the point written down, that I don't always get up in time. So I may be cutting my commercial time in half. So I'm still working, but I'm not doing the exercise. And I need to do the exercise, because they said it's better, especially if you're home a lot and you're sitting at computers. You need to make sure that your legs are getting enough activity to circulate your blood properly, so you're not ending up with some form of swelling and inflammations and all those kinds of things. So I'm doing my best. I'm trying to do my best of not being so idle. I know I'm idle in terms of being in the house. Okay, that I'm idle from the traditional things that I normally do, but I'm still very busy, and I still try to do something with my time where I'm not wasting my time. And so I can't just watch TV. I have to watch TV with something. So I'm probably going to be writing. I'm usually doing my next lesson, or the 2 days later I'm doing something. And then as I told you, I just began a new job last week. So now I'm trying to learn all their ways of doing stuff. When you take a new job, it's like learning a new language. So all of a sudden I'm back in school again, and so I'm learning, and in between writing books. So I am not idle, but I feel that a lot of us are, and from what I've been told, a lot of people say that they, sleep a lot, or they don't get up until 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Why? Because they didn't go to bed until 2 or 3. So sometimes, even with this pandemic, our body rhythms have changed. Everything has changed. So the times that normally we weren't idle, we're idle now. And the times when we were active, where we were active, we're no longer active. Good morning, Trisha. So sometimes we just have to pay attention to what idle does to us. Idle can make it where we don't go to our traditional jobs and we're trying to do them from home. And even though we call ourselves working diligently, because we don't have that human interaction, some people cannot get a lot of work done. You know, they can't get it done. They can't get it in. Where other people, it does not matter to them. They're going to tell you, I got work to do, you know. And I was a person I loved socializing when I was at my job. I loved just going around saying good morning to everybody. And then I'd go back to my office, and because I'd said good morning to them, I wasn't expecting them to come see me later on. And very seldom did they, because they knew how I worked. I said good morning in the morning. I said good night at night. And I did eat lunch with them. So that way I got my fill of my social interaction while still, getting my work done. Because once again, good morning, Gloria. Time management is almost like, a cliche. It's one of those things we talk about, time management, and I teach it. I teach time management, but really it's self-management. It really and truthfully is. How do you manage your time? Therefore, self-management of your time is probably a better way to state it. But sometimes we don't do that. Our time just gets away from us. Before we know anything, it's 12 noon, and we've been up since 6 o'clock. We have nothing to show between 6 and noon. Nothing. Maybe we got breakfast in, and maybe that was really, what I would call cryptic, where we just had a piece of toast and a cup of coffee. So we didn't do much with our time. And so we end up at the end of the day, if we do our own assessment on ourselves and we're truthful, then we probably could say, Dag, you didn't do jack today, Sandy. Nothing. You need to do better tomorrow. You need to do better. And you can be your own critic. No, and I guess the other critics would be if you have a project that's due, by where you have to send it to somebody by 3 o'clock, and the suspense date and time is on, then maybe you'll get that done. But a lot of times, we don't always pay attention to suspense dates unless we're really people that are attentive. I'm attentive. I'm going to pay attention to it. In fact, I read something from the new job that told me it was due. Well, it says I need to sign up for it and get it done, and I don't even know how to do it. So I have to go back to do the research to find out how to do it before I can do it. So that I'm not wasting my time, because there's a learning process that I have to do. So I have to learn one thing in order to do something else. And sometimes that's how we are. We have to learn something else before we do something else. We have to complete steps 1 and 2 before we can ever get to 3. Before we ever get to 3. So, you can't go get a job and you haven't applied, unless you know somebody in high places. I don't. So here's our questions for today on being idle. First one, and I'm going to ask you to write a response in there. And all you have to do, yes or no. You don't have to tell me what you're doing. Just tell me yes or no. I want you to put it in the thread. Are you too idle right now? During this period, are you idle? Yes or no? Put it in there. Question number 2, do you lack energy? Has this fallen, this pandemic, this virus process, has it placed you in a period of depression, of I don't want to do anything, I don't have anything to do, I don't have anybody to talk to, I don't know. Write it in there, right? Well, you don't have to put that one in there, but I'm just asking you. And question number 3, have you put your life on hold and become lethargic and dormant? Have you put your life on hold? Some of us are saying, I can't wait till this pandemic's over. My question is, what have you done during this pandemic? What do you have to show that you completed, that you started, that you are excited about, that you're working on during this pandemic? Good morning, Johnny. Um, oh, good, Joan. Joan said no. Maurice said no. Okay, good. So you're not idle. That's wonderful. I'm not idle. I can tell you that right now. I'm not idle. I probably lose up too many hours of the day. Yes, idle. Okay, Gloria. Kristen said no. Okay, Christine said no. Okay, okay. And see, and it's all subjective. I can't tell you if you're idle or not. Jean said no. So I think people who have decided to find things that make them work, pay the bills, um, being unapologetic for not being able to do, even though I'm home, I can't be on the phone all the time. I can't be texting all the time. Can't be on social media all the time. I have to do something that says I'm moving on up the road. So Maurice says, mine is, am I doing enough? Okay, okay, okay. You know, I like that answer. I like that. No, but am I doing enough? Meaning, what else can I be doing? What else? And see, that to me, that's a good question. What else? What else can we be doing? It says listening and seeing you helps with my positive energy. Oh, thank you, Jean. I love you. I love all of y'all that come in here with me. But it's true. It's so true. Um, having something to do is one thing. Having enough to do is something else. Because sometimes we know things by so rote to us. We can do it like that. Not a big deal. So we have to add what I say a challenge to ourselves. And so I challenge myself every day. Not what did I do yesterday, but what else has to be done today that either is in addition to what I completed yesterday, but adds on to me completing a larger project that's due, and I give myself a due date. I'm also working on Al Martin's, Mr. Martin's second book, and so that is also my challenge. Is like fitting that in because writing is funny. You can't sometimes you can't write all the time. For me, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes I can sit down and I can write and write and write, and other times I'm crazy as a bed bug, meaning I'm gonna get on you real quick and I'm gonna get off. Okay, gonna do my biting and then I got to get up out of there. So that's the way it is. But we have to consider who we are and how we operate. And even during this pandemic, I'm quite sure some of you are operating much differently than you did before. How many of you found time, energy to just add something new on that you weren't doing before? Anybody? Anybody? You know, if I added a new job, I've added something new, you know. And then in between, I'm called on to help folks with other stuff. And I do. I always say I'm not going to do it, but I have slimmed down I've cut down on not being able to say no. So I do say no to some things, but my plate is still full. My plate is still full. And sometimes I have to push things off and say, I'm going to eat that later. Off my plate. I'm gonna get back to that later. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to realize that you're doing too much, and then for others are not doing enough. So even asking the question of yourself is a good one because at least it places it in your mind that there's an importance for it. Because some days I believe will be slower than others, and some days are going to be, quick, 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 quick. You cannot get through anything enough before something else comes that needs attention. It needs your attention. But anyway, those are the questions and the section for the week, for the beginning of the week, which is idle. And I'm going to let you know, I'm going to not do this on Friday. I'm going to go and do a funeral on Friday and help the family out and possibly, sing a solo because it will be outside. So I'll be able to sing in the wind and it would be good. And so my Jean wrote, okay. Joan said cooking more. Me too. I cook at home. I don't want to eat out anywhere. I have trouble when I go out. And then Jean says, yes, sometimes you need to be idle, rest and recharge. Exactly. Exactly. I never said to because we've talked about sleep. We talked about being tired. What I'm trying to do is get people to take all of these things collectively and realize their balance in them, realize how they're situated in them, in all of them. You know, how's your sleep time? It's all a question. Sleep time, rest time, being idle, all of those. It says, I agree with going idle with a purpose. That's right, being idle with a purpose. Like going to sleep when you're supposed to go to sleep is good. You know, getting in your hours of sleep to me is important. You know, now I don't always get in as many as I should because I confessed to a girlfriend yesterday that lately the dog had been wanting to go out in the middle of the night, and I let him out not this morning but yesterday morning at 2 o'clock, and then he wanted to go out again at 3 o'clock. And so my girlfriend was screaming at me. She said, absolutely not. You know, too late. Things too crazy. You're at the dead end. I said, okay. So last night I didn't give him anything late, and his last opportunity to go out was at 8 o'clock, but no 2 o'clock in the morning, no 3 o'clock, and look, he okay. He's not even barking. But anyway, I want you all to have a great day. Have a great day. Um, Consider your idol. Consider if you're doing enough to address what idol is doing to you. Really look at your day. Try not to be too lethargic. Now, I have heard the forecast for the week, and supposedly it's supposed to pretty much rain all week long because of the two hurricanes that are coming. They're stirring out in the Gulf, and so therefore, even though we're not directly targeted right now, there's supposed to be a lot of rain coming our way. So I want y'all to be safe. You know, certainly if you have to go out, take your proper gear. You know, it may be gloves, it may be definitely, you know, your mask, and it may be boots. Okay, and don't forget the umbrella. But anyway, you all have a wonderful day. I appreciate you coming. I love you. I love you. I love you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great, great evening. And be idle only to a certain point. Have a great day. Love you. Bye-bye.